Welcome to World Pulse Updates. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. In the heart of Pakistan, as the first rays of sunlight break over the bustling cities and quiet villages, a quiet revolution has begun, one that is changing the very fabric of society. This revolution is not marked by mass protests or loud demonstrations, but by the unwavering courage of a single woman who refused to accept injustice within the walls of her own home. Her story is one of resilience, hope, and the belief that change is possible, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Her struggle, marked by years of silent endurance and quiet strength, ultimately led to a historic Supreme Court ruling on November 3, 2025. In a landmark moment, the court delivered a unanimous decision that redefined the landscape of women's rights in Pakistan, setting a new precedent for justice and equality. This was more than a legal judgment. It was a powerful declaration that a woman's dignity, her emotional well-being, and her right to live free from fear are non-negotiable. The court's words echoed far beyond the courtroom, reaching into homes and hearts across the nation. The ruling made it clear that cruelty is not limited to physical violence. Psychological torment, emotional abuse, and humiliation, often hidden behind closed doors, are now recognized as real and serious forms of harm. For the first time, the law acknowledged the silent suffering endured by countless women. For millions of women across Pakistan, this decision is nothing short of a lifeline. It validates their pain, recognizes their struggles, and gives their voices the weight they have long deserved. It is a message of hope, signaling that their stories matter and that justice is within reach. The Supreme Court's message was unambiguous. Marriage can no longer be used as a shield for abuse, and silence is no longer the law's answer. The decision empowers women to speak out, knowing that the law now stands with them, not against them. Internationally, this progressive step by the highest court of a Muslim-majority nation has captured the world's attention. It stands as a beacon for gender equality, inspiring activists and legal minds far beyond Pakistan's borders, and offering hope to those fighting for women's rights everywhere. Yet, this victory did not come easily. It unfolded at a time when the judiciary itself was under immense pressure, facing political threats and constitutional amendments that threatened to undermine its independence. The struggle for justice was not just about one woman, but about the very soul of the nation's legal system. The courage shown by the judges in delivering this verdict stands out as a leap forward for human rights. Their decision is a testament to the enduring power of the rule of law, even as it faces new and daunting challenges in a rapidly changing political landscape. This moment is both a triumph and a warning, a beacon of hope for women's rights, but also a reminder of the fragility of justice. As Pakistan steps into this new dawn, the world watches, inspired by the courage of one woman and the promise of a more just future for all. For decades, Pakistan's laws on marriage and divorce trapped women in abusive relationships. The 1939 Dissolution of Muslim Marriages Act defined cruelty almost solely as physical violence, demanding impossible proof from women. Emotional, verbal, and psychological abuse were dismissed as mere marital disputes, leaving women with little legal recourse. Divorce carried heavy stigma, and women who left abusive marriages faced social and financial ruin. Courts prioritized preserving marriage over women's well-being, reinforcing patriarchal norms. Even when husbands took second wives without consent, it was rarely seen as cruelty. The system protected marriage at the cost of women's dignity and safety, desperately needing reform. The Supreme Court's landmark decision began with the courage of one woman determined to reclaim her dignity and independence. Her journey was not just a personal battle, but a challenge to the very foundations of the legal system that had failed her and so many others. For years, she endured emotional abuse behind closed doors, her pain invisible to the world. When she finally found the strength to seek justice, she was met with indifference and resistance at every turn. The lower courts denied her a judicial divorce, forcing her to pursue khula, a path that demanded she give up her financial rights and security, simply to escape a life of torment. It was a choice no woman should have to make. Refusing to accept this injustice, she decided to take her fight to the highest court in the land, determined to change not just her own fate, but the fate of countless women trapped in similar circumstances. The Supreme Court justices recognized the significance of her case. They saw an opportunity to confront a deep flaw in the justice system, one that had long ignored the realities of emotional and psychological abuse. The central question before them was profound. Should the definition of cruelty be limited to visible physical violence, or should it encompass the full spectrum of abuse, including the silent wounds of psychological torment? Her legal team passionately argued that emotional and psychological abuse can be just as devastating as physical harm, and that the law must protect women from all forms of cruelty. They insisted that CULA should not be the only option when a woman's fundamental rights are violated. They presented evidence, cited precedents, and made the case that true justice means recognizing the full reality of women's experiences, not just what is visible on the surface. The case quickly became a test for the entire legal system. Would the court reinforce the status quo, or would it finally acknowledge the rights and dignity of women suffering in silence? The nation watched as the justices weighed their decision, knowing that the outcome could set a precedent for generations to come. The stage was set for a transformative decision, one that could redefine justice for women across Pakistan and offer hope to those still waiting for their voices to be heard. On November 3, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous verdict that redefined cruelty in marriage. Justice Aisha A. Malik's ruling expanded cruelty to include psychological, verbal, and emotional abuse. The court declared that humiliation, constant criticism, financial deprivation, and isolation are valid grounds for divorce. Taking a second wife without the first's consent was explicitly recognized as cruelty. The court lowered the burden of proof, acknowledging that abuse often happens in private. Judges were ordered to apply a gender lens, considering women's social realities and vulnerabilities. Patriarchal language and outdated notions of a wife's duties were condemned. The distinction between judicial divorce and CULA was clarified. CULA is a right, not a compromise. This ruling placed women's dignity and safety at the center of the justice system. The Supreme Court's decision is reshaping Pakistani society, empowering women to speak out against abuse. Legal aid centers report a surge in women seeking divorce on emotional and psychological grounds. The ruling challenges cultural beliefs, forcing families to confront the reality of non-physical abuse. Men are now accountable for behaviors once dismissed as normal. Financially, the distinction between judicial divorce and CULA protects women's rights to dower and settlements. The verdict aligns Pakistan's laws with international human rights standards and inspires a cultural shift toward dignity and respect. This is not an endpoint, but a catalyst for lasting social change. The Supreme Court's progressive ruling came amid a political storm threatening judicial independence. Recent constitutional amendments created a new federal constitutional court, stripping the Supreme Court of key powers. Judicial appointments are now controlled by the executive, undermining the separation of powers. Internal crises revealed judges under pressure from powerful state actors. The cruelty ruling stands as an act of defiance and integrity in the face of political interference. International experts warn these changes endanger the judiciary's ability to protect rights. The ruling is a brilliant legacy, but also a warning of what could be lost. Legal experts and activists have hailed the Supreme Court's ruling as a watershed for gender justice. Nighat Dad called it overdue recognition of women's invisible scars, while the National Commission on the Status of Women praised its gender-sensitive approach. Internationally, the ruling is seen as aligning Pakistan with global human rights standards. Yet, experts warn that real change depends on implementation. Judges must be trained, and the law must be enforced everywhere. Hina Jalani emphasized the need for monitoring and support to ensure the ruling delivers real justice. The judgment is a powerful tool, but its impact will be measured by action, not words. The Supreme Court's ruling opens the door to justice, but deep challenges remain. Patriarchal mindsets in society and the judiciary may resist change, especially in rural areas. Judicial training and gender sensitization are essential for real progress. Many women remain unaware of their rights. Nationwide awareness campaigns are crucial. Civil society and legal aid organizations must support women navigating the new legal landscape. The ruling can spark further reforms and foster a national dialogue about partnership and respect in marriage. Engaging men and boys is key to shifting attitudes. If implemented effectively, this ruling could transform gender relations for generations. The Supreme Court has lit a powerful flame of hope for justice in Pakistan, sending a message that change is possible even in the darkest of times. This decision is more than a legal victory. It is a symbol of resilience, a beacon that can guide us forward when the path seems uncertain. Now, it's up to all of us to nurture this change. Justice is not just a word, it must be defended, protected, and woven into the fabric of our daily lives. Each of us has a role to play, whether by standing up for what's right, supporting those in need, or simply refusing to stay silent in the face of injustice. This ruling is a call to action for every citizen. Teach respect to the next generation, recognize the signs of abuse, and create safe spaces for open conversations. Encourage children and adults alike to speak up, and make sure everyone knows their rights and where to seek help. Support those who are seeking help, and never underestimate the power of sharing information. Stand with local organizations that work tirelessly to protect the vulnerable and help spread awareness in your community. Demand accountability from the courts and from those in power. Raise your voice for justice, and let it be known that the people will not accept anything less than fairness and equality for all. The international community must also stand with Pakistan's human rights defenders and independent judges. Their courage and commitment deserve global recognition and support. Celebrate this victory, but remember that the struggle for justice is ongoing. Remain vigilant against threats to judicial independence. The fight for justice is never over, and it requires constant attention and protection from all of us. This is a fight for the soul of the nation. True strength lies in protecting everyone's dignity, regardless of gender, background, or belief. When we stand together united in purpose, we can create a society where everyone feels safe and valued. The court's decision is a roadmap, a guide for the future. It shows us that progress is possible, but only if we all do our part and refuse to let hope fade. Progress is not automatic. It requires action, unity, and determination. Every small step counts, and together, we can build a better tomorrow. Let's honor the courage of those who fought for this change. The activists, the survivors, the advocates, and the everyday heroes who refuse to give up. Keep the flame of hope alive for a more equal, just world. Let this moment inspire us to continue the journey together until justice truly belongs to everyone.